Okay, welcome to our first live stream on YouTube. I'm so excited to be with you on this new service. So just bear with me while I get used to this technology. Welcome to Now It's My Turn, where the 50 plus woman awakens her spark and enjoys her life right here on YouTube. Now we're broadcasting live to YouTube. We're going to be posting on Facebook and some other places the recording. So if you are listening on Facebook or somewhere else, come over and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go over to YouTube and look for Lana McAra, and you will see us pop right up there. And that way you can get notifications. We're going to be streaming live every Friday at the same time, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And today we're going to be talking about it's never too late to get started. And I'm so excited about our guest today. We're going to be introducing her in just one moment. So our purpose each week is to open the door for the 50 plus woman to live a life she absolutely loves. Today's 50 plus woman is vibrant, alive, filled with passion and purpose. She's a powerful force for good in the world, and we are unleashing that power by breaking through social programming and exposing the myths to show that our best years are still ahead. We're not half done. We're just getting started. Where each woman says, now it's my turn. And in asking that, and in making that statement of now it's my turn, that brings up two questions. First of all, who am I now in this phase of my life? Without all the roles and all the expectations, who am I? And the second question, what do I really want? I find a lot of times women will just push themselves to the side and not really think about what they want. They're more in tune with what other people need than themselves. So what do I really want? And then get your pen and paper. We always have a lot of really good content to jot down, note down, and remember for later. Remember to comment down below, like, and subscribe to the channel. And so now let's get started. I am so happy to welcome our guest today, Jean Kay. Jean is a prolific poet. She has written a poem at the start of every single morning since October of 1997. That is over 8,000 poems. Wow. Her poetry books, Morning Light, Thanksgiving Poetry to Inspire, and Christmas Poetry to Inspire, are available on Amazon. Jean is published in newspapers, newsletters, anthologies, magazines, coffee news. She sells framed poems, bookmarks, and prayer cards at craft fairs and from her home studio. She writes commissioned poems for birthdays, weddings, anniversaries, retirements, and she's a member of the Canadian Authors Association and an active member of the Evolutionary Business Institute, which is where we met. Jean composed the music and lyrics for Canada Our Canada, a song to honor Canada's 150th anniversary that's still performed by the Delta Elder College Singers in their concerts. Welcome, Jean.
Well, thank you for having me. And it's always a pleasure to see your smiling face, Lana.
Oh, thank you so much. I've been looking forward to our conversation. We sat together at dinner a couple of times when we were in that meeting together, and I so enjoyed our conversation. So I was just delighted to have you in the schedule. First up for season 4 with all of our glicks and figuring out stuff.
Well, helping each other is what it's all about.
Yes, indeed. Just rolling with it. That's what I've learned with technology. You just roll. So you have been on quite a journey, and your life is so fascinating. You have in your some of the notes that I saw that you became a teacher at the age of 60.
Yes.
Yes. Would you mind talking a little bit about how that happened?
Well, for my 60th, coming up to my 60th, I thought, oh, I'd like to go on a cruise or have a big party, or, just do something really dramatic. And then as it got closer, I thought, no, that's not going to happen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write a book. I'm going to put that money into writing a book. So I wrote Morning Light, which has a lot of quite spiritual poems in it. There's 121 poems in the book, and got that. I did. It was self-published. Well, I went through Trafford, which was in Victoria at the time. It's now Author Solutions, but got the book out, and just after I'd signed that contract to get the book out, I discovered an opportunity to teach computer on cruise ships, and so I took the training with a friend of mine, and 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 passed the course, which was really intense. We were teaching Word, Excel, and Photoshop elements, but also basic Windows and email, because then I'm talking 20 years ago. This was or 16 years ago, I guess. It was a lot of people had not even turned on a computer that came to our classes on board. But anyway, I so got into this cruising, and we shared cabins. I met a gal on the docks in Fort Lauderdale that I was to share a cabin with for 6 weeks, which is also quite, you sort of have some apprehension about that. Well, Rhonda and I became best friends, and we still are. And our first cruise, we went from Fort Lauderdale down to Aruba, through the Panama Canal, up the coast to San Diego, over to Hawaii, around the islands twice, and back to San Diego. And I tell you, it was such an adventure, and I was completely hooked. I mean, that was like 5 weeks, I think, the first time. And I had never taught before, and we had 2 fellows with us. There were 4 people as teachers, and so and the 4 of us got along really well. We'd rent a car, and and when we got into port and go places together, they were one was a fairly strict instructor, and Bob was just a comedian. So we had such a great time together, and it was a very important part of my life. And I did in 2.5 years, I did 28 cruises. So instead of just doing, being selfish, and that's my interpretation, being selfish for my 60th and just doing something for me, I wrote this book, this sort of spiritual book that can be shared with everybody, and I got 28 cruises instead of 1. So I don't think rewards get much better than that.
No way. No way. Wow.
But yeah, so I learned a lot, and we learned a lot about other people's experiences, because they come in and share their photos and use the Photoshop elements in the classroom and during breaks. So we got to see everybody else's pictures too. So yeah, it was a wonderful experience. Wonderful.
Wow, such an adventure. I'm just blown away by how it fell in your lap.
Yeah. And I did, Alaska a few times. We did the Caribbean, and the last one was they had just refurbished a ship in Barcelona, so we picked up the ship in Barcelona and did Barcelona, Spain, up to Dover, over the Channel Islands a couple of times, up to Amsterdam, deadheading with news media on board to take pictures of the ship, and then up to Amsterdam and did the Baltic cruise 3 different times, and then so I was away 7 weeks on the last one. And then Celebrity, and it was Celebrity, which is a wonderful cruise line. They decided to take it over. I was working for a company out of California, but they decided to take it over. So that would have meant, 4 months on, a couple of months off, that sort of thing. So there's no way my relationship would have survived or anything else doing that. And I wouldn't want to do that. We had, because we were we were volunteers, so we didn't get paid to teach, but we got everything paid for, and we had guest status. So we got to use the dining room, the theater, anything we wanted. So it was, it was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, but they took it over as a crew job. So
Oh, I see.
that was it. But it was yeah, a wonderful part of my
Yeah.
life. Yeah,
Yeah. Way to manifest, right?
yeah,
Oh my, that is just awesome. So that leads me to another question about your poetry, which got you into this whole thing,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So have you been writing poetry your entire life, or did that start somewhere?
Pretty much, I guess. I still have a poem I wrote in grade 8 that the teacher gave me an A plus. It was maybe the only A plus I ever got. I don't know why I kept it, but and she said at the time, you should be doing more of this. And I just sort of thought, yeah, right. You know, anybody can write poetry, and several people along the way, I'd write poems for birthdays now and then or something like that, and people would say, oh, I could never do that. And I didn't really believe that nobody could do that until I was an adult, I guess. And then I started to realize that people are right. They really don't have the gift. I have a gift, and it's mine to share. And some people just can't do it. And what still amazes me is that most of mine rhyme. And I used to love rhyming poetry in school. Those were the only ones I could remember or memorize, because if it rhymed, then you sort of you knew what to expect, you know, 2 lines down or whatever. So,
Mm.
so yeah, so that's always been my structure, and and some of the I don't go for strict structure in my poetry. I mean, yeah, Shakespeare had his way, and it's taught, and you know, there's sonnets, and there's all these kinds of poems, but I've got my way. You know, they had theirs, I've got mine,
Mm.
and so I don't follow strict rules. I just write it as it comes, and I write in an artist sketchbook, so I handwrite every morning,
Mm.
and I'm in the
Handwriting.
same handwriting, and it's I go to the same place on the love seat. My books are beside me. The oil pastels that I create color with first,
Mhm.
and then I choose 3 at random and write I am whatever that tells me,
Yeah.
and then I start to write on the opposite page, and it fills the page and it rhymes.
Wow. This brings up a couple of things to me. First of all, the thing we do the easiest and think, oh, there's nothing to that. That's a small thing. Those are the things that other people go, wow.
Exactly. And whether you're a baker or a seamstress, or I mean, whatever it is that you can do and you do well, that's a gift,
Yeah.
and it needs to be shared. And don't just overlook that as being, oh, just something anybody can do. No, it's not something anybody can do. We all have different expertise. I mean, gardening, or, you know, as I say, baking, or, cook meals for your neighbors that
Yeah.
that don't cook. I mean,
Hmm.
that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. Yeah.
Absolutely. I was in when I was working with a life coach. This has been a few years back. I made that statement. Oh, anybody could do that, and he went, "Whoa, hold on, no."
Exactly.
I know a lot of people
Exactly.
couldn't do that, including me.
Couldn't do
Yeah,
that. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
embracing it and putting yourself out there, that takes some courage.
It does. It does. And sometimes I take along one of my sketchbooks that have 100 poems in them that are unedited, and people have picked them up and read, and somebody said, doesn't that scare you? Like, isn't that they could be reading something really personal? And I said, well, that's who I was then. This is who I am now.
Mm,
So I just let it go, and if it's something, and most of the time it's something they needed to read,
yes.
but it is about letting go. I mean, we can't hold on to the past, and shouldn't try to hold on to the past. This is
Yes.
who we are now. And I've really this last almost 3 years, well, it was September 2017, I was diagnosed with cancer, and it's liver cancer, and it turned out to be inoperable. and initially it was like, okay, do three bouts of chemo, and then we'll remove it, but it's too close to the main arteries, so they couldn't operate. So yes, the liver, renews itself, but this was too dangerous.
Yeah.
So I ended up over this last almost 3 years doing 39 bouts of chemo.
And you survived that.
Yeah, and
Wow.
the doctors, the oncologists would say, "Well, you're still here. Well, you're still here." Like I just, and I said, "Well, you need to rewrite the textbook because not everybody's average. We don't. Those are the guidelines, but that's not the rules.
Wow, I
And
love that. Those are guidelines, not rules.
yeah,
Yes.
it's so true. And I mean, you think about commercials on TV for a new medication or something, and they'll list 3 things that this is going to do for you, and then they've got 15 things that of side effects that you might have. And I mean, if people dwell on that, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
You need to dwell on this, the small part that's going to work for you. And I know my naturopath who who's now also becoming a medical doctor. He was asked, well, what foods should you not eat? When you've got cancer, what should you steer away from? And he said, the worst thing anybody can eat is fear.
Mm-hmm.
He said, if you're afraid it's going to hurt you, it will.
Yeah.
And he said, if you feel like having a chocolate bar, have a chocolate bar. He said, it's all about, and he said, taking supplements, just think as you're taking them, this is healing me. This is healing me. This is protecting me. Don't think of them as medication that's detrimental, and just those little things, and a positive attitude. I mean,
Yes.
a positive attitude is key. If you're not grateful for everyday little things in life, nature and loved ones and, your gifts, you're not going to make it.
Yes.
And I can see over the years how people would have bowed out at different stages I've been through, but I've survived it. Miraculously, yes.
Wow.
Yes. And I'm still surviving it miraculously.
Yes.
And now I interestingly enough, technology changes, but I did a molecular profiling test, and they discovered a gene in my DNA that's enabling cancer cells to reproduce themselves.
Wow.
And I'm now on a medication to stop that happening. I'm just waiting for, I'm on a pill at the moment, but I'm waiting for Health Canada to approve an IV. And that's created in Germany or, somewhere like that. And so I'm feeling like I'm on the upward swing,
Wow.
and if I hadn't been my own advocate all this time, I mean, this is through an individual oncologist, not through the cancer clinic. And he works outside the box, and it's about asking questions and following up and not just feeling trapped in the system.
Yes, as a medical hypnotist with training in medical hypnosis, they taught us that there is a placebo effect, which means that you believe something is going to help you and therefore it helps you. There's also something called a nocebo effect, which means you believe something's going to hurt you and therefore it will hurt you.
Yeah.
And so the human mind informs the body on how to respond.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I find that with the diagnosis comes such horrific projections that the mind just goes, oh, is that what we're supposed to do? Okay. And then, those things start to happen. So it's really a mind game, isn't it? It is a mind game. Yes.
Totally. Because after the first, when they discovered that, surgery wasn't operable, and my options were If you do nothing, you've got 3 to 4 months. If you go on chemo, it'll probably work for about a year and a half. Or you could just, do a very risky surgery and maybe die on the table. So, you go home with all that good news.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, that was 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and yes, I opted to stay on chemo, but and then last September I decided enough's enough. I've had enough treatments, because I was then on intravenous for 48 hours every 2 weeks. And so I decided that I'd had enough. So I gave them the option. I wrote a letter and I said, this is what's happening with my body. And I'd lost my hair. It's now growing back, thank goodness. But I'll come in once. I needed a break for 6 months, I told them, knowing that I wasn't going to go back. But I knew if I told them I was quitting right now, they'd have a fit. So I said, I want a 6-month break, and I'll come in every month for blood work, and I want to scan every 2 months, and I'll see you every 2 months. And so they agreed. So, and that was last September. Well, I haven't had any chemo since then.
Wow. Wow.
So, and I'm still here.
You're still here, and you look great.
Here.
You look great, Jean. You look really great. I mean, you look better than you looked in January, and you look great then.
Yeah.
When I saw you just now, I was like, wow, you're looking fabulous.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And another reward I wanted to tell you about before we run out of time. I was at a craft fair 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, a Christmas craft fair, and I have my framed poems, and I have along the table I've got my books and framed poems and prayer cards and bookmarks. And an elderly lady came along with a walker. This is about 20 minutes after the show opened, a 3-day show, and she was carefully looking at the poems, and she came along to where the prayer cards were, and she pointed to my prayer of thanks card, just a little wallet-sized card, and she says, I have one of those. And I said, oh, do you? She said, yes. She says, you don't remember me, but she said, I retired from Canadian Airlines 30 years ago, and you gave me one of those cards. And she said, I took it home and I taped it to the mirror, and I've read it every day for 30 years. And I thank God I'm alive, and I thank God for your poem.
Wow.
And I thought, if I don't sell anything in this craft fair for 3 days, I have been so richly rewarded.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's things like that that just make it all worthwhile.
Absolutely.
I still cry. I still tear up.
I know. I did too. I'm just like, oh my goodness. Wow.
Thinking about her and that. So, there's so much more to sharing gifts than expecting to receive monetary rewards.
Yes.
Helping people in whatever way, and obviously ways unbeknownst to us sometimes.
Yes.
That's what it's about. Just being loving and caring and kind.
Yes.
Hey, doesn't get better than that.
And being brave enough to be yourself.
Oh, totally.
Yes.
Totally. And not, age is only a number. It's it's just a number. It's got nothing to do with whether you're powerful or gifted, or you've got strengths in all kinds of areas. It has nothing to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's been quite a wonderful journey.
Yes,
and
indeed.
There's more books in me, but they're even with the COVID time off, they're not coming out too rapidly. But just enjoying nature, through this time has been so important. Getting out in the garden and actually looking at the flowers and looking at each part of a flower, and thinking how miraculous, each one is, and it's just there's just a lot to life. to be grateful
Oh,
for.
absolutely. Life is wonderful. And just that, you know what I love the most is sitting in the morning with my coffee, looking at my backyard.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
gives me so much joy to have, first of all, a beautiful place to look at and enjoy.
Yeah,
Second of all, a slow morning where I can sit with my coffee
yeah,
and look out and not feel pressured to rush or anything.
right.
So simple, just
Yeah,
amazing, but it enriches my life every day.
yeah. My writing time is first half hour of every day, and at least half an hour. It's more like it gets into, because I read some things now too, so it gets into closer to an hour. But that's my time, and everybody knows that. So that's my quiet time, whether I'm at home and it's just Jerry or and I, or where I am, whether I'm on a plane or I'm on a cruise ship. That's my quiet time. Doesn't
Yes.
doesn't matter. That's my time, and I claim it. I If I have to be up at 7, then I'm up at 6:30.
Yes.
So don't let anybody tell you that they don't have time to write. You just make the time.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
it's more important than sleep, believe it.
Yes, indeed.
You know.
I wrote around 20 books by getting up at 5 a.m. and writing from 5 to 7:30 or so every single morning while I was homeschooling my 7 children. So
Wow. I didn't know
I
you
can
had
tell you,
7 children.
yes, I did.
Wow.
I had 7 children in 12 years. I homeschooled them. We were living in the Caribbean in Grenada, which you might have visited on the
I
cruise ships.
did. Oh, loved it.
Oh, Grenada is such a beautiful place. And we were living up in the jungle in the center of the island. And I would get up at 5. It was my time. I was excited.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
when the alarm went off, I'm like, oh, yay, I get to go and do this because the kids are still asleep.
Yeah.
And then I would start my day and I would have that feeling of, enrichment inside of me that I took
Yeah.
that time and the stories, because I wrote novels, the stories would be running through my mind through the day and the excitement of, tomorrow, what I'm going to add to
Yeah.
what I've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Good for you. Yeah.
So when people tell me I don't have time, it's not
Yeah.
time that's the issue.
No, no. And there's been so many jokes through this COVID thing about husbands saying, "Oh, I don't have time to do that," and then realizing, no, that's not the excuse that works anymore.
Now that you have time. Oh, that's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah, yeah, it's true. It's
We're
true.
gonna we're
Yeah,
gonna take just a little break for an announcement, and then I'm gonna come
yeah,
back if you don't mind holding on for just a minute.
yeah, yeah.
Just to let you know that my new book, it's actually not so new anymore. It's called Recovering from Narcissistic Abuse. I'm sorry, it's called Never Date a Narcissist Again. It's on Kindle. So if you have trouble with attracting narcissists into your life, and this can not be even just dating, it could also be a job, like if your bosses are really that type of person. Never Date a Narcissist Again. If you go to neverdateanarcissistagain.com, it'll pop up there. It's a 25-page ebook. It's got a lot of bullet points and really good insights because I went through this myself and I finally got the answer. And I thought, this is too good to keep. I have to share this because those of us who do attract narcissistic relationships, we need to know why. And it was really one of the biggest frustrations in my life, why that happened. I have a free video on my website. If you go to lanamcara.com, you can download the free video, How to Throw Away Negative Thoughts in 7 minutes or less. Absolutely free. Download it to your phone. If you have trouble with thinking, negative thinking, that just keeps going on and on, download that video to your phone. And then when it happens, take 7 minutes. Go ahead. It's body movements. It's a mind game. It's really simple and kind of fun, and it really, really works. So, Jean, as we are getting ready to wrap up, what would be maybe a final thought that you would like to leave with people today? This has been an amazing conversation.
Oh, thank you. Well, I have a couple of very small ones. One is called follow through. Pay attention to your instincts. Be willing to follow through. Your intuition will guide you to being the very best you.
Mm. Beautiful.
And if I may, I'd like to share the prayer of thanks that was so important to that lady.
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you, God, for all I am and for all I'm yet to be. Thank you for your guidance and for watching over me. As I go out into my world, not knowing what's in store, thank you for opportunities always knocking at my door. Help me know that who I am is who I am meant to be, and as I live from day to day, you are always here with me.
Awesome. Wow. Thank you so much. Touched my heart. Thank
Oh,
you, Jean.
you're so welcome. And thank you so much for having me. This was delightful.
Oh, I've just been looking forward to it for so long. Blessings to you. Let's stay in touch. Please
Yeah.
speak out your website where people can get your materials. I know they're going to want more.
Poetrytoinspire.com. So it's POETRYTOINSPIRE.com.
And we will be putting that in the show notes down below after the live broadcast is over. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lana. Bye.
Bye. Oh, wow. That was so amazing.
Oh, thank you.
All right, just a few last thoughts before we go on, and that is to just think about what has been holding you back. What are the restraints that you're feeling inside of you? Because at the end of the broadcast, I'd like to do a little, some type of little process to send us off. And if you could think about that, maybe there's something you've been wanting to do. Maybe you've wanted to be a writer or a painter or an actor or something else creative, or maybe there's a nonprofit that you would like to get involved in, but you just haven't done it. Or maybe you want to try dancing or photography or something else. What's holding you back? What's holding you back? And I would encourage you to go over to pick up that video, how to throw away negative thinking in 7 minutes or less, because whatever it is that's holding you back, that thought that's coming up in your mind right now, it is one of those negative thoughts. You can literally pull it away, throw it away, get clear of it, and guess what? Move on with your life in such a wonderful, beautiful way to manifest the things that you desire and create that life you absolutely love. We're going to be right back here next Friday at the same time, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern time, and I hope to see you then. Bye now.